Guest now, Mike Harrell from Harrell Automotive is joining us with our weekly segment, You Ought to Know. We're taking a look at some of the questions that you have about keeping your cars and your trucks in great shape. Mike, welcome. Good to see you again.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, you got some new great questions for us today.
That's what I understand.
Yeah, let's get to the first one. This is, I have a 2019 Honda CR-V. My dealership recommended cleaning the carbon in my engine. I only have 20,000 miles. Is that necessary? This one coming from Jack B.
Yes.
Okay.
to put it succinctly, it probably is necessary. With the newer vehicles that we have, we're asking more of them than we're asking some of the older vehicles and the larger engines. So with the compact size, we need to get more power out of them. To do that, we've changed the way we put fuel into the motors. We used to put fuel into the engine through the intake manifold, and today most vehicles are going to be directly injected into the cylinder. When that happens, the intake valves build up a lot of carbon, and that can create some drivability concerns even on some newer vehicles with lower mileage. So if they're recommending it at this point in time, I'd say it's a good time to get it done.
So is that something that you just take it to your dealership and say, will you clean the carbon out of my engine? Or is this something that happens when you get your oil changed? Is this something that just happens that we don't know about?
So this is something that we've experienced at our shop with some of our customers, having some issues with their vehicle, running rough when they first started up, a check engine light, that feeling of maybe a misfire and it's just not quite running right when it's colder. Yeah.
Okay.
And that would be an indication that you possibly have some carbon built up on your valves and it would need to be cleaned out.
Okay.
Is that an expensive venture?
Roughly about $200.
Okay.
Okay.
I like this next question.
Yeah.
Because I think so many people it can apply to as we get to those cold.
Sure. And the question is, I'm going to Florida to visit my daughter. What should I do to get my car and me ready for my solo trip? It's a great question.
You should bring a mechanic, and I would volunteer myself, especially for a
Yeah,
Florida.
right.
Take a
Just to
friend.
make sure everything's fine on
Take
the
a
way
friend.
down.
Just in case, yeah. To get ready for a trip, we want to check the maintenance items. Make sure our oil's full, and any other fluids would be full. Their coolant, your power steering fluid. Check your tire pressure and condition. Make sure that they're going to be good for a long road trip. Florida from Erie is probably well over 1,000 miles, depending on where you're going. So that's a long road trip. So for your vehicle, just make sure that it's got all of its fluids where they need to be and your tire and pressures are good. For yourself, take some breaks.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important because you don't want to be stuck, in the middle of North Carolina, South Carolina, where you don't know what dealership, who to trust around you with a problem with your car.
Yeah, I always do that every summer before we take a road trip or a vacation. I always get it into the shop and say, will you just check everything?
Yeah.
We're going to make a road trip, just check everything. And it just makes you feel more confident, especially if you do travel by yourself.
Exactly, and to catch something before it's a problem is the best time to catch it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Mike, thanks so much for being here. And as always, you can send in your questions to Harrell Automotives by, I think we have an address here to put up because I don't know it off the top
There
of my head.
it is.
There we go, ask@yououghtaknow.org.
Mike's great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for
Can't
having
wait
me.
to see what we
We'll
talk
see you
about
next
next week. All right. And we'll be right back.